Welcome to Community Solar News. Della, I want to start with a genuinely fun one before we get into the money stuff, because somebody just won an award and I think we should let them have their moment.
I love a good award show open. Who won?
Nexamp. Solar Power World just published its 2026 Top Community Solar Contractors list, and Nexamp is number 1. Again.
Again meaning?
4th year running. 4 years straight at the top of that list.
Okay, that's not a fluke. That's a track record. What did they actually build to earn it?
245,711.53 kilowatts DC installed in 2025 alone. Call it roughly 246 megawatts in a single year from one company.
And that's out of how many companies on the list?
46 companies ranked, and Nexamp's on top of all of them for the 4th consecutive year.
4 years is long enough that it stops being the hot new developer and starts being the standard everybody else gets measured against.
That's basically the quote from their CEO, Zaida Shai. He said, distributed solar proves its value because it can be built quickly, sited where it's actually needed, and help manage energy costs for customers. Which, coming from the company that just won this 4 years running, isn't just a talking point.
It's their receipts talking.
Right. Hot take, when the same company tops this list 4 years straight, that's not really news about Nexamp anymore. It's a signal about where the execution bar sits for the whole industry. If you're not somewhere near that pace, you're not the benchmark. You're the one being benchmarked against.
I'll take the point, but push back slightly. Number 1 on kilowatts installed reward scale. And there are plenty of smaller developers doing genuinely good work who'll never touch this list because they're not playing that particular game. Doesn't take anything away from Nexamp, just don't let one leaderboard define the whole industry scoreboard.
Fair. Congratulations are still very much in order, though.
Congratulations in order. And speaking of Illinois, since Nexamp's list has New York, California, Colorado, and Massachusetts all over it, but not Illinois this time, quick heads up before we move on, because Illinois is actually where I want to go next, and it's not the fun kind of Illinois story.
This is the other end of Illinois from Tuesday's episode, right? We were just there with Warren County and the sheep grazing board vote. This is the state program itself, not a county board.
Exactly. Illinois Shines, the adjustable block program, has a traditional community solar Group A category, and it's full. As of July 2nd, that block filled. It was sized at 119.52 megawatts, and by the time the 7-day soft close period wrapped on July 9th, batched project capacity had landed at 125.49 megawatts.
So they let it run about 6 megawatts over before cutting it off. What happens if you missed the window?
Here's the actionable part. If you're applying into that category now, you're not just getting in line. You need to clear a 5-point scoring threshold just to have a shot at the waitlist. And the category itself is closed to new applications until the 2027-28 program year opens, which is planned for June 1st, 2027.
That's basically a year out.
Almost a year. So if you're a developer with a traditional community solar project in Illinois that isn't already batched, the move right now isn't to keep submitting into a closed category. It's to build your scoring case for next June, or check whether your project actually fits a different, still open category.
That's a useful distinction to sit with. Filled doesn't mean the program's in trouble. It means demand showed up on time. Different problem entirely from a program that can't get projects built.
Exactly. And one more thing worth knowing while we're in Illinois, the Illinois Power Agency also named Energy Solutions as the new joint program administrator for both Illinois Shines and Illinois Solar for All, effective July 10th. New hands on the wheel for anyone with an open application or ticket in that pipeline.
Good to actually know who to call now instead of guessing.
Which is sort of the whole point of us doing this segment every episode, instead of assuming everybody already caught the program bulletin.
All right, from a program update to a straight-up finance story, Della, and this one's got real numbers behind it.
I genuinely love a refinancing story. PureSky Energy just closed a $183.7 million investment-grade refinancing on their community solar and storage portfolio.
How big a portfolio are we talking?
211 megawatts DC of solar plus 58 megawatt hours of storage spread across 43 operating assets in Massachusetts, New York, and Minnesota.
Investment grade is the word that actually matters there. That's not just we found a lender. That's a rating agency looking at your cash flows and calling them safe money.
Right, and here's the part I like best. This deal rolled 8 separate existing debt portfolios into one single financing structure. Anybody who's managed a multi-state operating book knows exactly what a headache 8 different debt stacks is to service.
One structure instead of 8. That's not just cheaper, that's an operations team getting their sanity back.
And they didn't stop there. Alongside the refinancing, PureSky also upsized their corporate credit facility by $62 million, arranged through Nomura.
So fresh capital on the corporate side too, not just at the project level.
Their CFO, Rami Kadra, put it plainly, saying the deal reflects the strength of their assets and operating platform, and that it lets them eliminate near-term refinancing risk.
That's the phrase I'd underline for anybody listening with debt coming due on an operating portfolio. Eliminate near-term refinancing risk is exactly what you want your lender saying about you, not the other way around.
And on the lender side, PGIM's line was about PureSky's diversified portfolio and long-term contracted cash flows supporting a durable credit profile. Fancy way of saying, multi-state, long-term contracts actually operating, that's the profile lenders want right now.
Hot take? If you're a developer still sitting on project-level debt spread across a handful of separate deals, this is basically a roadmap. Consolidate, get to investment grade, and the capital gets cheaper and a lot more available.
One caveat though, rolling 8 debt stacks into one only works if your assets are actually performing across the board. It's a reward for good operations, not a workaround for a weak asset hiding in the mix.
Fair distinction. All right, save the biggest for last because this next one is a real headline.
This is the one I've been sitting on all episode. BlackRock, through Global Infrastructure Partners, has agreed to acquire a majority and controlling interest in Summit Ridge Energy.
Summit Ridge is a serious platform. Give me the scale.
Over 275 operating facilities, more than 3 gigawatts of solar and storage projects operating and in development, delivering energy savings to more than 60,000 homes and businesses. And since founding in 2017, they've raised over $7 billion in project capital.
That's not a startup getting bought. That's an established platform getting a bigger balance sheet behind it.
Exactly. And GIP itself manages over $200 billion in assets, so this isn't a small check. Here's the part worth flagging for anyone tracking ownership in this space. Summit Ridge's outgoing majority owner was Apollo Global Management, who paid $175 million for their stake back in 2022.
So this is the second major institutional owner in 4 years for the same platform.
Right. And per the announcement, the whole point of GIP's investment is to let Summit Ridge expand its development pipeline, hold more projects on its own balance sheet instead of flipping them, and grow acquisition capacity through larger funding vehicles.
Holding more on balance sheet, that's the independent power producer model. That's a real strategic shift, not just fresh cash sitting in an account.
Their CEO, Steve Rader, said it plainly. The partnership strengthens their ability to lead industry consolidation. That's not a subtle word choice.
No, it is not. I want to sit on that phrase for a second, because lead industry consolidation, coming from a company that's now been through 2 institutional ownership changes since 2022, tells you something about where this market's headed. Bigger platforms, backed by bigger capital, absorbing the smaller ones.
That's my hot take, actually. This deal is a signal, not a one-off. When infrastructure money at this scale, GIP's $200 billion under management, decides community solar platforms are worth building an ownership thesis around, that's a vote of confidence in the whole sector's cash flows, not just Summit Ridge's.
I'll agree with the confidence read, but I'd flag the flip side for smaller developers listening. Consolidation cuts both ways. It's great news that big capital believes in this asset class. It's also worth asking whether that same capital ends up buying the market instead of just funding it.
Both things can be true at once. Big capital validates the sector, and it changes who's sitting at the table 5 years from now.
Which is exactly the kind of thing worth watching, not worrying about, yet.
All right, that's the rundown. Nexamp holding the top spot for a 4th year running. Illinois Shines closing out its traditional block with a scoring waitlist now live. PureSky rolling 8 debt stacks into one clean investment-grade refinancing. And BlackRock's GIP putting real weight behind Summit Ridge.
4 stories, and if there's a through line, it's this. This industry is maturing. Awards for consistency, program discipline on capacity, cleaner capital structures, and now serious institutional money doubling down on the same platform. That's not exactly a scrappy garage operation anymore.
Growing, but still very much building. I'll take that trade.
Before we go, this episode's brought to you by Our Power Co.
Sponsored and glad to say so. Their whole thing is capability, not complexity. You build the solar, we bring the community. If you've got capacity to fill, that's their job, not yours. Finding the households and businesses to subscribe so you can stay focused on getting projects built.
And if it's actually you listening as a homeowner or renter who wants to subscribe and lower your own bill, that's a different site. Head to joincommunity.solar to sign up.
One more thing, and it doubles as our disclosure. This show is built almost entirely with AI, and we're picky about which tools make the cut. One's from companies that cover their own energy and grid costs and use water-efficient cooling, instead of quietly passing that cost on to somebody's local utility bill.
On a show about energy, that felt like a baseline, not a bonus.
And every figure you heard today, the megawatts, the dollars, the dates, is sourced and linked in the show notes.
That's it for this week. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or now on YouTube, if you'd rather watch the rundown than just listen.
And head to communitysolar.news for the newsletter and every link from today's episode.
See you Tuesday.
I'm Della. That's the community in Community Solar.